Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Testing,
Take it with you and bring it over here to your seating. You can bring food with you to the seats. It's okay. Just make sure you have a tray with you. Don't spoil the area, please. And for you, make sure it's clean. Yeah. House rules, make sure it's clean. Keep low chit chatting. We appreciate your presence over here. Alright, before we further proceed, of course, we would like to invite our sponsors, which is Shortcut Asia over here, who allowed us to host this Cross Malaysia meetup over here. Please allow me to introduce Jin, who is Shortcut Asia. Hiring or meeting opportunities, let people know.
Hi, I'm Jane. I'm the marketing Asia. Basically, we're a warehouse where we develop mobile apps, websites, and others. Yeah, we're definitely hiring. So if you start our website, shoptype.my, go to the careers page, what kind of openings we have. We also do have like internships of your students. So we do have like open next year. So yeah, do keep an eye on.
Yep, so this is their website. Yeah, you can go ahead. Just helping out the sponsors because they helped us out, of course. Thank you again, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Moving on. So this is where we should start. This is our main topic of the day. which is the backend development in Axum. Please allow me to introduce Ian, pardon. Ian, yeah. The stage is all yours, mate. Go ahead.
I'll let our start.
Oh, wait. No, working. Oh, okay, fine. I hope I'm not speaking too softly. Okay. But so I'm just going to like do an introduction on today's topic, like so why Rust as a high level programming language. So people usually think of systems programming when it comes to Rust. For example, building operating systems and web browsers. But there is maybe also a misconception that Rust is a low-level programming language like C. But it's not. The truth is, Rust is a pretty high-level programming language with a high level of expressiveness that allows writing elegant code. Many things can be checked by the type system. So together with what we call compiler-driven development, basically the compiler tries to be helpful when you make a mistake, and also a thriving ecosystem of libraries and frameworks. This combination of factors makes Rust a productive application programming language as well.
Great. So, hello everyone.
Hello.
Before we begin, can I get a show of hands? Who here knows how to write Rust? Any experience at all? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now, who here has dabbled in web development, networking, etc., etc.? Okay. So, I guess we have a bit of foundational knowledge. So, in today's talk, we're going to look at how we do certain things in using Axum. So if you're familiar with a lot of these protocols and a lot of these concepts, this talk will be quite easy to follow. Great. So we are going to go through 4 main parts. We're going to talk about the Axum web framework. And we're going to, after that, we're going to talk about the Diesel ORM. And then we're going to show our example or our demo. Lastly, we're going to have Q&A. So the Axum web framework. For JavaScript, we have Express.js or Node.js. For Python, we have Flask, etc., etc. For Rust, we have Axum. We also have Rocket, but we don't talk about that. So this is the Hello World equivalent in Axum. It looks quite a lot. Here is actually how to call it. All you need to care about is this here. So having a plain empty route like that. So if you look at the localhost 3000, imagine just an empty slash. When you call this, you get this as a result. So this is the hello world equivalent. Here's the actual code behind it. We have one method here called main. This is our entry point. When the program starts, when our backend starts, this is where everything happens. We first define a router, and then we define a TCP listener and attach this router to that listener. So in this case, we're sitting on the 3000 port. And if you notice, we're routing this slash, which is basically an empty route, to this asynchronous function here, prefixed by the get. Great. So Axum is built on top of Tower, which is the middleware, and that is built on top of Hyper, which is basically a very low-level abstraction of a lot of the things. So let's look at how we can properly route. So like in Express.js or Flask, when you route, you specify the routes and you pass in the functions, no different in Axum. Here you notice that we have get, and this is post. So when we prefix this, basically I'm sure you guys are familiar with Rust. When we prefix this in a method, we're specifying that this handler is a post method. So you can see here, why is it so weird looking? But we define a method, all these are different. Cats, maybe you're getting a list of cats. Cappuccino, maybe you're making a cappuccino, right? Now, why is this so weird? Yeah, maybe I'll try PDF. Give me a second. Let's wait on this. Anyways, back to where we were. Right, so this is how it's supposed to look like. Keep this example in mind, okay? Now, if some photos familiar in networking, we have what we like to call static path, multi-segmented paths, which means that we can do cats and then slash name, cats slash age. But let's say if we have 10 entities here, that means we have 10 sections of this long router description. This is where we can use router nesting. So in this example here, we're nesting all of the cat-related calls into this router here. We define a router, we define another router, and we nest this earlier router into here. So certain other frameworks, such as, I keep saying Express and Flask, but let's say .NET, having this kind of functionality is not so straightforward. Or having this functionality needs a lot of external libraries. So Axum gives this to us out of the box. Next, we also have compile time validated paths. So if you take a look at this V path here, this is actually a macro. So you don't need to worry too much about what macro means. But what vpath lets us do is it validates these paths on compile time. If I were to use another framework, I can put in whatever I want into here. I wouldn't know that it's invalid until I actually run and call that route. Whereas in Axum, if I use a specific macro, I will know something is wrong by the moment I compile. I'm not able to run the code if something is wrong. Great. So, Right. We also have type safe routes. So in this example, where is it? We have path parameters and query parameters. In this example, we're showing a path parameter. So we're calling this cat function and we're passing in a cat ID. In this, where is it? Oh, here. We are defining the method here and we're passing in this as the parameter, which means that when I call this endpoint, I am expecting this as a payload. Great. So this is how we will call it. 5e can be anything we want. It can be your name, can be my name, can be an age or anything. It will change here. Great. Now, for path parameters, this is what we explained earlier also, not too different. So let's say if you do not want to create an entire struct to hold all of your payload, you can just directly use the primitives and define it as is. So inside this path parameter here, we're defining that we want to use one cat ID with a string type. And inside the route, we're defining it here. If I had to do this in Express or Flask or .NET, I would not know that this is a string. If I wanted to put an age here, I would first have to parse from a string into an integer. And if I wanted to do, let's say, what if you just called cat like that without passing in anything? I wouldn't know. Axum gives us a functionality that we can specify the payload we want to receive. So this is how we would call it. See, we're specifying the parameters here, and we get this as this is query. This is the next part. Sorry, this is a query parameters. So if you want to call a route like this and get this as an output, this is how we would do it. So like the previous examples, how we specify the payload as a struct, here we can also specify a query parameter as a struct. So I'll go back to this example. Notice how we want name and a number as our fields. Here we specify name and number. So this is the parameters, and then define it as the handler parameters, and this is what we return. So if I had to do this in Express or Flask, I would have to check one by one. Does name exist? Does num exist? Is number a unsigned 16-bit integer? Is name a proper string? See? Axum does this built in. I don't have to worry about that. Then let's look at JSON requests. So as we all know, to pass in any JSON bodies, we need to have specific methods like post, or maybe put, or patch, or delete. So here, we want to pass in this JSON body, this as the key, this as the value. To do it, it's like how we saw the previous query example. We define it as a JSON, we define the struct itself, and all of the relevant fields, pass it in, and we can just directly access it. Now, now that we've seen how to accept JSON, let's look at how to respond with JSON. So in this example, we're calling this greeting endpoint with this as the payload and this as the response type. Okay, wait, I'll go back to the previous example. Notice how that the return type is a string. The previous example, this is also a string. In this example, we're specifying that we want this JSON post greeting response as the return type. So this post greeting response, here, we find here with a field called message, which is a string, and the payload as well. So it's very straightforward. Define the payload, define the response, and then return the values. Now, let's say if we want to have multiple routes. I want to have greeting, and I can optionally pass in this name query parameter, or I don't. I'll get different results, right? So to specify this in Axum, you just use the option enum trait. So this is an optional value. If okay, I'm not sure everyone is familiar with what this means, but as an option, you have two possible values. One is a none value. One is a sum value. Inside this sum value, it holds a piece of data that we can extract and use. So based on our logic, we get this optional variable. We unwrap it, which means that we look inside it. If we are unable to look inside it, which is, let's say, for a none enum variant, there's no value inside this none, but there's value inside the sum. So there's nothing inside here. We default to this stranger value. So then hello name. So you can see how this example works. Straightforward, simple. What? Right. Okay. In Python we have lambdas. In every other language we have anonymous functions. This is just an anonymous function. So in this section here, we are just returning this string slice here. It can also be anything we want. Let's say we can pass in another parameter here, and then instead of just passing in stranger, maybe we're going to do something to that parameter. So we use this anonymous function for that. Great. Yes. Yes. So if this option actually holds a value, this part of the code will not run. If it's a non-value, then it will run.
What's the closure?
Yeah, closure. That's the term here, sorry.
Usually you have the thing where you want an arrow and then unwrap or else.
Because you do the implicit type as
Checking this type checking.
type like creation or implicit type
Yeah.
for data. So for us, you need to put the place where you need to explicitly type out is you declare the function. So when you declare the function, it will be very clear what is the exact types. So it doesn't infer the types very well.
Yeah, usually you see that, right? See that arrow.
Oh yes. Yeah. This is basically shorthand. Yeah. Inside our example that we'll share later, we're going to be using a lot of destructuring, like a lot of shortcuts. If you want to do match, that'll be like 5 lines. If you want to use like another pattern, that'll just be like 1 line straight. This is the 1 line variant. Great. So moving on. Error handling. Okay, so notice the status types for these two. So when we send back a response, like any other framework, we can also specify the status code. It can be 200, 300, 500, etc., etc. So for this example, we're returning a bad request if it does not end with nyan. So let's see. So the code is as simple as follows. We use what we already know, the query, we define the struct, we define all of these values inside, then we just check if the name ends with nyan, then if not, okay, if it doesn't end with nyan, we return this status code. So this bad request is a inbuilt functionality. Bad request refers to 400, status code 400, and OK refers to status code 200, normal NDM stuff. So some of you might be wondering why we have a return here and why we don't have a return here. Rust is Rust, okay? So notice there's no semicolon also, so Rust is Rust. Shorthand. You can put return here and then semicolon is fine as well, but this is just straightforward, simple. Yep. Yes? Oh, right, okay. What's the term for it? Okay, another equivalent would be like in Java where you have static static methods and static fields. So status code here is actually like an enum. Am I correct? Is it enum, right? Yeah, so status code is an enum. When I do this double colon thing, I'm specifying that value of the enum. So in other languages, we just do dot bad requests. In Rust, we'll do this dot dot, this double colon. Yeah.
It's a very enum variant.
It's an enum variant. Yeah, that holds value. Enum can be all capital. Yep. Okay. So moving on. Course. Yes.
The nyan is the formatter, right? Now, so the string is actually the nyan.
Which one?
Nyan is if you return an HTML body. That's
I believe so. Yes. For an error. I believe so. Yes. Yes. Can. Yep. Great. Moving on to course. So this is what every developer hates. It's just a headache that throws a wrench into our gearbox. So course for the uninitialized is to specify how certain endpoints interact with each other. So maybe you want to block connections or you want to allow certain connections. This is what course will do. Great. So like I previously mentioned, Axum is built on top of Tower and built on top of Hyper. In Tower, we can specify basically middlewares, and the course layer is one of it. So to do it, we just dot layer, etc., and we allow all the origins and allow these specific headers. Great. Moving on. Basically, same as this, the layer we previously mentioned. You can also make, like, if you want, you can make your own custom layers, and you attach it to the router in a bottom-up fashion. So notice how we attach the layer 1 first, it will be first, then 2, then 3. So layer 1 will be directly covering the handler, and then 2 after and 3 after. Right. So you can also optionally build it using this service builder factory method. Yeah, pretty straightforward there. Right. What?
Layer 1, 2, 3, put handle, and then Z is 4, 5, 6.
No, it's still going to be the same.
you can certain middleware can only handle requests or only handle.
Yes, it is. All right. One thing I need to mention is that notice how we do bottom up here. When we do service builder, it bottoms up again, which means it reverses the reverse. So in this previous example, we go like 3, 2, 1, and then here is 1, 2, 3 because we are taking this, reversing it, and then reversing it again. So it cancels out, and then it's just 1, 2, 3 in the end. Yeah, something to keep note in case you get mad at your code. Great. So moving on to states. So to hold data in any Axum process, we use this thing called states. when we have any endpoints or handlers, we pass these state values to those handlers. They can write, read, etc., whatever you want with them. So here we have this app state with this. It's just a struct flavor, and then we have another struct flavor. This is a, what's this called? What's the specific term for this? Structure, struct, tuple struct. Yes, a tuple struct. So tuple struct is basically a struct that basically holds like one value, or it's just as is like that. Very straightforward. And then in this app state, we're defining flavor to be of type flavor. Great. So to actually use the states, first we define it here, and then when we create the router itself, we have to specify that we're using this state. And then when we add the handler itself, we mention the state we want to use. Optionally, you can attach different states to different routers, which we will see in the example later. So even though I specified this here, I might be using a completely different one, depending on what I attach to this specific handler. So just keep that in mind. We'll see in the example later. Great. Yes? Huh? This, oh, it's like how you would do a database pool, you know. So you have to state is something that what's the proper term for it? That holds the values that we're going to use in the backend. So yeah, that's basically it, right? Yes. Yeah. Yes.
This one.
Yes.
So let's say if you didn't put the with state, but then you inside your normal error.
Yeah, your error.
No, error at normal time.
Yes. Okay. We didn't show it here, but it's actually like a specific Axum debug handler you can put in front of every endpoint to properly check all of the errors inside the thing. So this is fine. This example is pretty straightforward. There will be no a compile time error will be raised. But for other certain things, like let's say endpoints that depends on layers and middlewares, sometimes Axum does not automatically check it at compile time. You have to define like a specific trait here. No way.
So the debug handler is better error message. You will still get an error, but not understand it.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yes. I haven't touched Axum in quite a while, so I'm not familiar with this anymore. But yeah. So, moving on. So this is how we call it, and this is what we get as a result. So, yep. So if you guys are interested in the documentation that basically everything that we went over this talk, then you can view here. Now I'd like to pass it next to the diesel part. Great. Right, Axum, any questions? Anything curious? Anything interesting?
Do you use Excel for your 42KL?
I know I have 42KL. I use Axum, yeah.
What the in compared to Express?
Great. Okay, great question. I'll go back to our, which one is it? I think it's path. Right. Query and path and etc. So first of all, it's memory safe. Second of all, it's highly performant. If I wanted to, let's say if I were a big firm and I wanted to make something that is basically mission critical and very time sensitive, I would prefer to make it in lower level frameworks like Rust, Axum, instead of Express. Second thing is type safety. In frameworks like mentioned, Express, everything comes and goes in strings. Whereas in Axum, it's basically validated before it hits the handler to be a specific type that you specify. So, for example, in Express, right, if the user can input, let's say for a transaction, they can input 2e16. That would be 2 to the power 2 exponent 16, right? So in like let's say JavaScript, this will go as a number. This is counted as a number. So if I check if this is a number, it will pass. Whereas in Axum, you can't do that. So this is just one of the examples. Yes.
How about the TypeScript?
The TypeScript version, true, but a lot of it still comes and goes as strings. So that's still the problem under the hood. See? So yeah. Question? Sorry, what? Yep. Yeah, it's based on Tokyo, yes. Yep. So I'll go back to this first hello world example here. When we define the entry point, yeah, Tokyo main, we define it as a, great. Questions? I believe my co-host can answer.
You can choose.
You can put a flavor like Tokyo main, and you can put a flavor. Let's say if multi-thread means so you run multiple workers or run multiple on each. The request will be sent to different workers, and let's say the workers is you have the hosting.
Great. So let's move on to Diesel, our beloved.
Here. So you ask about expressly. Yeah. So like one thing when I see was website, one thing I noticed that I change one part, then everything works. You go to production,
Yep.
yeah, and especially like enum, then you add the enum. And let's say sometimes you have multiple stuff. And enum you got let's say you got to handle food, you got like food like you have pizza, cake, or whatever veggie. Then let's say one day like you post that's some stuff. Then oh you got this part break. Like you didn't handle this, and like rest enough you have stuff like mesh, which all the kids. You change up that you didn't notice kind of thing. Because just need all the method.
Okay.
No.
Okay, so part two, Diesel. So for example, if you want to start using Diesel and you want to connect to your database server, this is how you might start. So you first have to set the environment variable for the database connection string, for example, like this, and you can use the Diesel CLI, this is the official tool, to make it easier to work with Diesel. So there is this command here, print schema, and if you have an existing database and you run this with the database URL pointing to it, so when you do Diesel print schema, it will basically generate a schema for Diesel based on your existing database objects, which it has access to. So and then yeah, so in here we redirect the file to the output to schema.rs. Okay, so we have this is the generated schema. You can see in this example there are two tables, cats and humans. So these are all auto-generated from the database. And then Diesel also detects relations using foreign key constraints that you have defined on your database tables. So it generates things like this, like cats you can join to the humans table using this human ID column. And the allow tables to appear in same query thing is just a diesel thing to let it know that this kind of query is valid. So yeah, okay, ignore that. So this usually we will have to define our own model types like model objects in when using Diesel. There are also third-party tools to auto generate the models for you, but less polished, I would say. So in this case, you just create a model class yourself, and you need to put some derives here. The important ones like curable, selectable. So this would allow you to use this struct in your Diesel code. And we specify the table name based on the previously generated schema. And here we have this check for backend, and we specify it to be Postgres basically. So this actually is here to give you better error messages because Diesel checks a lot of things at compile time. And if it doesn't know which database backend is going to be used with, because in your model class, it doesn't have that information, right? So yeah, you put this there, it will give you better error message. It will not check everything if you don't put this, because like you would get some more errors at compile at runtime because it couldn't check some things. It doesn't know which database backend is dealing with. Because your model class is just a model, right? There's no database connection anywhere. So you need to tell. Okay, so and then we have the human, same thing. Okay, so this is how you would create a connection, establish a connection to the database. For example, here we're using a .env just to make it easier in development. For example, if you want to put your database connection string in a .env file, so that's why it's there. So we load the database URL, and we create this async Diesel connection manager, and we specify the type of the connection, which is for Postgres, passing in the connection string. And also the reason why we create a pool here is a database connection pool, because we don't want to hold on to an existing connection and to block everything, because we are using it in Axum, right? Everything is async. So if you only create one connection, and your handler holds on to that connection, then other handlers cannot progress at the same time. So that's why we have a pool. And what this does is that in your handler you will call like this pool.get. So it would actually establish the database connection, or it would give you an existing connection that is already in the pool, so you can reuse automatically. Okay, so some CRUD examples. This is just getting cats from the database. So we here we filter for cats that can purr. Yeah, sorry to cats that can't purr. And we limit ourselves to 5 cats here. And so and when you look at this cat as select, this is what you get, because we previously we put the selectable on the model class, right? So this is what it provides. So you don't have to manually specify which database columns that you want to return and everything. So it will select all of them in order to give you back the same model class that you have defined. And then we call the load function passing in the connection. This doesn't do anything because we are using the async connection here. So you need to call await. And if you notice, this is an async function. Yeah. So one thing to note that if you're not familiar with Rust or Axum or stuff, like you might think this looks like a looks similar like a Axum handler, but this is not. So because if you're using it as an Axum handler, then you're gonna need to pass in the database pool with the state extractor as you saw earlier, and then you call pool.get from there to get the connection. So this is just to show the diesel part. Okay, so
What is the percent impact you?
and oh the okay. So basically because you if you want to call, like, let's say the load here, diesel requires a mutable connection, mutable reference to the connection. So if you don't do this, if you pass in like a just a reference without the mute, it would not work. This is how diesel works. So yeah, let's just keep it at that. Okay. So so next. It's too much to explain. Let's just we can talk about this later. Yeah, I'm not going to go into all the technical details here.
Visualizing allows that's actually
So okay, to put it in short, so the load method here comes from the async PG connection trait here. If you're familiar with that, so if you don't have a mutable reference, if you have a immutable reference basically, so you cannot call this function. The compiler will tell you this method does not exist. Like, oh no, it would say it exists, but your it's not fulfilled something, so yeah, okay. So basically you have to look at the implementation to understand why it needs that.
It's like you need to yeah. For one condition, the only one the word is that then how does he do that? This one last says purpose. Yeah, if more than one person, you more than one case.
but if it's anything actually
Yeah, but that is only at the type level, but the actual database connection that you have does not support that. So this is to protect you from yourself, basically. Especially for example, if you're using SQLite, you would notice that they have like a few levels of thread safety thingy that you can configure at compile time. So one of them is like, okay, you can use the same connection from different threads, but there is also another level which is like, okay, you can have multiple threads, but you can only access the same connection from the same thread. Like, you cannot share database connections between different threads. So yeah, this kind of stuff is like really important. Otherwise, you just end up with problems. So this is to make sure it's safe, basically. Okay, so moving on. So here we create another model class here just for inserting, because sometimes when we want to insert it, it doesn't actually have the same fields as when you query back. Some things are auto generated in the database and with default values and all that. Yeah. So the important part is insertable. So we derive insertable here, and We also derive default, but you'll see this is just for the sake of the example. Okay, so here we want to created this new cat with 3 legs, and the rest we are using the default. So for example, with the default, that means the cat will have no name. With 3 legs, it doesn't purr, and it doesn't have a human. Okay, so we call the insert into, and we specify like which table, which database table. This is actually like the auto-generated schema earlier. So and then we insert, we pass in the values, and then we want to get the record that has just been inserted back. So returning this returning is only on Postgres and SQLite, not on MySQL. So yeah, and then you call the get result to actually do the thing. But then again, because it's async, so it doesn't do anything until you call a wait. So yeah, this returns a cat, and the reason why there's a query result is because you can get errors from the database or anything like that. Okay, so going back to the previous cat model that we have. If you notice, we added a few things here. We added as change set and identifiable. Because okay, the next thing that I want to do is to update cats. So here, we take in a immutable reference to a cat, and we specify the like which record that we want to update in the database. So in this case, we can do this. We can just pass in the cat reference here because we already put the derive identifiable on the model just now. So that's why we can do this. And then this is what we want to change. We want to make the cat. So and then again we get back the same cat that has been updated and same. Okay. Okay, and this example is getting specific cat, just a single cat. So we take in the ID in the database. So in this case, we're using a UUID, and so we call find, provide the UUID and the select as before. And here we call this first method, because we expect only one result. And if you notice, there is an optional at the end. So excuse me, if you don't have optional, it will give you an error when you run this. So if the cat does not with that ID does not exist. So this is to make it so that you can try to look up for this cat, but it doesn't exist. But okay, that's fine. Like 0 or 1 cats. Okay, and deleting cats, would not recommend deleting cats. Okay, so that's why we delete the fake cats. So if in this case we filter what to delete. So if their name is Flurken and they have more than 6 legs, I look it up. They're actually real cats with 6 legs. So yeah, to be safe, we don't delete the wrong cat. And yeah, so you call execute because you don't need to return anything. So you just execute and same await. And yeah, the docs. Read the docs. Yay.
Does Peter support CE now?
No idea. Pardon? Deadpool. Okay, good catch. Okay, if you are wondering about the name, why Deadpool? is I think it stands for Date Simple Pool. So it's a very simple database connection pool implementation. It's maintained by some of the Tokyo people, and yeah, it's good. If you have tried other database connection pools in Rust like B8, they are not good. So that's why they decided to like, okay, fuck them. We're going to do our thread pool. Oh, the database connection pool.
When there are multiple variables that you're creating of it over there and also which weight and giggle. So
Wait, thread pool like in Tokyo?
over here in the data, you are using thread weight where basically by weight you get right.
Okay, you mean this one? Pool is a database connection pool.
Oh, this is
Yeah. Okay. So okay. So why is it with dot await?
no any
Limitations in what sense? Like you have run up, you have hit the maximum limit of database connections. Okay. So you will get an error. That's why there's a question mark there to return the error.
Potential for DOS attack.
As in like taking up all the connections, you can put a limit on that, and you can also set other things like timeouts.
does it calculate the resources for or do you have to manually calculate limits?
What do you mean by calculate?
Creating data connections, right?
Okay.
It's taking up the resources.
Okay. The reason why you see there's a async diesel connection manager here is because this is a managed pool, so it will keep track of every. Yeah. So you can also use an unmanaged pool, so you would have to do all that yourself.
So the diesel handle is where, let's say, the primary node and secondary node has switch IPs. How to handle that? Or
I don't know. You can ask somebody else or read the docs. Pardon? Okay, so if you want to write your own SQL, right? Yeah, so Diesel is an ORM, despite what what did you say earlier? It is an ORM, but it also has you can use their query builder, so you can go lower level. You can run raw SQLs.
So on your season, right? There's another tool called
No.
No, it's diesel.
No. The thing is, okay, Diesel does only like check what you tell it. Like, okay, when you print the schema, right? So this is the schema, we check based on that. They don't sneakily do database connections at compile time. So that is a bad thing that SQLX is doing, but people are like excusing it for some reason. But yeah, that's a risk factor, I would say.
you check for query where there's
But then a question regarding what are the limitations? How far I mean
Limitations.
where
Okay, so the main thing that the main limitation that you would run into in Diesel is unfortunately the type system. Well, not really the type system. It's more like, for example, Rust Analyzer. It chokes up on a lot of things when it comes to Diesel because the type system, the types that are used by Diesel are simply too complex. So Rust Analyzer just gives up and say unknown. The type is too complex, like because yeah. Pardon? Yeah, it would still compile. It's just that you don't get like nice type information when you're coding sometimes.
Last time when I checked, you can still use some. You can do subquery, but you cannot do C.
Okay, I have no idea. So
You put the yeah, but you cannot do the C. Last time when I checked that, no CD. Yeah. Not in research, but you can do subquery.
is city like standard in the SQL standard? It is.
Like you do CD like.
Oh, it's the with thingy, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Any questions?
Can you execute the stop skills?
Probably. I think. I mean, it does have a query builder, so you can like raw SQL. So I think you would have to write your own wrappers so that these will know how to work with it. But yeah.
What last question? I think Java is all. You have 15 or 2 weeks.
Okay. Okay. Diesel simply does not eagerly fetch stuff like that. So they just refuse to implement that to sidestep the problem.
You put execute, it will execute one.
It doesn't do eager loading automatically. Yeah. Yeah. You have to do it yourself. Like it does like have some relation support, but you would have to handle it yourself. It doesn't automatically like cascade and load. Okay.
Before we move on to the demo. Alright, going once. Going twice. Alright, so we are doing the demo.
Great. So using the concepts explained in this talk, we built a simple demo. Okay, simple is a strong word, but it's the demo. So to basically keep the variety of everything, to handle all these, to call these endpoints, we made the front end in vanilla. So, all right. So this is the actual repository for the demo, and here is the website itself. We can visit it on mobile and everything. It is a simple e-wallet app. Everything is built in vanilla JS. Fun fact: we spent the time in this talk debugging it while the talk was ongoing. So yeah. So I think I should open it on this as well. Right.
Well, I hope everyone's aware of the setting rooms in WordPress content part
Basics.
and pretty much aware that these is actually a very
Right. So I'll just quickly make an account here. It's 8. Is my password not the same? Did I? Oh, there we go. Who took this username? My default. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I'm a 1000 air. Yeah, anyone who's signed up to give like several tens of thousands to play with. So you can. Yeah, you can get 0. Yes, you can get 0 if you want. An account I made had like 100 or something. That was so poor. Right. So you guys can try scan this and then send me money. I want money. Thank you. I would like to try this, but I can't scan with my own account. So it's not big enough.
It's the typical, because the background is black. Many QR codes can
Seriously?
Yeah.
Huh? People still have this problem now?
Unfortunately.
Wow, okay, let me do this then. My background.
But I was able to see. Yeah.
It did different, yeah. iPhone built in. Thank you. Look at all the money. Oh. Yeah, and my net worth is slowly increasing as well. So,
Wait.
it's gonna be a funny number. What?
What's the QR code?
Oh, right. Here. So, in this example, we are utilizing. Wow, thank you. So generous. Is this cheapskate? Who is this? So, you can take a look at the. We didn't put the QR for the thing. Yeah. Anyways, inside the code, yeah, we have to read me to get it started. Inside the code, you see a lot of the concepts we mentioned there. For our middleware, we implement a lot of JWT access tokens. You can see a lot of these database things. You're very free to check it out and see how basically we made this demo example. Anyone send me more? Oh my god! Woo! Yeah, so I can send to someone, but I don't have their. I can't send it on here. Great. So just to quickly go through what we've seen before. Here we have defined the state and everything, and then here. Really, yes, more. Okay, hold on. Don't berate me, I'm using VS Code. Sorry. Right, so let's take a look at the main. Wow. Right, so let's go over quickly what we've learned. Here we created a state to hold the connections to the database. And here's an additional state. So remember what I mentioned about where we can attach certain states to certain handlers? So let's take a look here. Is it this one, right? Yeah, so we are attaching states here and there, and we can see the pathing validation here, this macro, and we can see the nest route nesting. So let's take a look into here. We have a directory called routes that holds all of our routes, and then all of these route to these specific ones. So let's say we look at user. No, this is bad. Okay. Let's say we look at authentication. Authentication, we have two routes, one for login, one for sign up. And then we go into post login. So we have a lot of things here. But like what we previously mentioned about the post bodies, we define the payload type. So here this post login payload, what we are expecting from the user is a username and a password. Then what we are returning is this post login response. So returning the UUID and the access token. And this access token is integrated using a lot of the middleware and layer services. So a lot of these things, I know this is a state, but a lot of these things go into the middleware. So for those curious about where we actually implement the middleware, that's an example. Great. Then, yeah, so you can check out the GitHub and see how we implemented this. And this example is very helpful because, where is it? Is it this? Right. If you take a look, we have a lot of documentation and a lot of guidelines being. So one example that I was unaware of, passwords, right? It's best to keep it as unique as possible. So certain websites will basically ban you from using all these special characters. But for the sake of your security, just use them as you please. Use all the Unicodes that you please. Which is why when you log in, when you sign up, we did not impose anything except the 8-character limit. And besides that, go all out, for the sake of your security. So if you're interested in any of the guidelines, take a look at the code. All of these guidelines, which is really interesting, by the way. So yeah. So, anyways, any questions regarding the demo? For those wondering, it's built completely, like I mentioned before, it's built completely vanilla front end because we were planning to do a lot of like WebSocket and SSE stuff, but from my experience, doing that in React is a pain in the ass. So yeah. Okay. Yes, another thing I completely forgot to mention. If you look at this main, right, we actually serve this using the Axum itself. So here we have this static file service, and for whatever routes that do not match, this is the fallback service. So actually, the actual demo itself is running using Axum. Where's the demo? No, you just send the files to it. Yeah. Not really. It's completely client side at that point. Yeah. So so if you want to do this, you can. Probably not preferable to keep your front end and back end on the same service. Just saying, So yeah, questions? Can Redis caching?
So your state here, now you say state, right? So now I want to scale up to centralized state in Redis.
Then go
Large. I guess the other one would be close out.
just to make it like don't do that.
Please don't.
Again, you guys can go through this setup, like how to like for a lot of
This one.
best practice.
Yep, all documented. Everything I need will be here. So you can use this as a go-to cheat sheet if you ever want to make, access tokens. No, of course not. Oh, you can see the AI coding thing here. This is for my school assignment, mock data, generating a lot of mock data for Java, by the way. Is a pain in the ass to set everything up. And when I want to ask you to generate mock data, it's such a pain in the ass. Okay, but anyways, yes. It's .NET. .NET is better. Okay, any more questions?
It's a very good resource. One lesson, 0 to prod. There's a
0 to prod?
0 to production.
0 to prod.
And you don't have to buy a whole, you can just use it. Because you put everything in stock.
Oh, this one. I see.
Explain everything from what is how to do it wrong,
How to do it wrong.
yeah,
I think it was one you shared recently, right? I think it was the system design done, right? I think that was a really good share as well.
That's very short. This one is that they give you the code. You can learn to do like
Yes.
so just use soft.
I swear. Oh, this one. Yeah, this one is really, quite short now, but true. Quite short. It's quite long. But yeah. So if you're ever interested about receiving news or getting any like good resources, you can join our Telegram. So I will. Inside the okay. I'll throw okay. We'll throw everything into the Discord. Yep.
And the slides are which is written in Rust. So
Yep. Everything we should do in Rust. So yeah, Q&A. Any questions? I think we covered everything. Good question. What's the? Where do we? That's the thing. I don't really know. Yeah, is this one here? Okay. Let me. Do I have a QR set up for this? Okay. So thank you for anyone joining online. Hope this is informative.